How old should a kid have to be before you leave them alone at home?
Let's talk about that.
Hi, I'm Caleb from Atlanta, Georgia. Good Mythical Morning!
Good Mythical Morning.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cockatrice.com, the guys with the goods. If you like any of the goods that we've talked about on this show, you can go to Cockatrice.com. In fact, we've got a link in the description. You can get a free catalog sent to your home or apartment, or if you live, I don't know, wherever you live in a hole in the ground, if there's an address, we can send a catalog to it.
If there's a dress for the hole in the ground. Thanks for joining us today. How are the flies doing? Are you catching flies?
Boy.
Manually or with a bag?
You would not believe how well the fly trap is working. I went out there yesterday towards the end of the day.
Yeah.
And there were about 30 flies flying around in there, awaiting their death. And then there were about 100 that had already fallen into the pit of death.
So you're not to 20,000 yet. You haven't reached capacity.
Oh,
no. Okay, so we tackled that issue. It seems like things are going well. It's time to tackle a new issue, the age that some kids should be left alone. Now, why are we talking about this today? We were talking with some friends recently. Forget gas prices. Once you have kids and you have friends who have kids, you start talking about the skyrocketing price of babysitting.
Huh.
So the question looms, well, are our kids old enough to be left alone?
Well,
or an even more important question is, what would we be arrested if we left our kids alone?
You're seriously asking yourself this question?
No, I mean, that's why we talked about it. I mean, obviously, I've got a 2.5-year-old I'm not going to leave alone.
Well, I hope.
I've got a 7-year-old and I've got a 9-year-old. Yeah, I've got all types of kids at all types of ages. But, let's tackle the issue of latchkey kiddom.
Well,
and discuss it ad nauseum here.
I was there.
That's what we do.
Well,
we discuss things until it makes us nauseous.
I was in the group of people that were talking about this the other day. And I did what I often do when people are discussing something. And people, it's funny how slowly how slow we are to do this. People start asking questions like, how old does a kid have to be to leave them alone? And then people are like, I don't know. I've never thought. It's like, what? That's what the internet's for. And you have it on your phone.
But we shouldn't let the internet dictate the choices we make as parents, Rhett.
If the laws are on the internet, that kind of takes care of itself.
You got to make sure you're being legal here. So
I have the list, ladies and gentlemen, and this is the United States of America list by state.
And that's just all we have right now. And hold on, stop the presses. I did not welcome the new people who are joining today because today is...
So unwelcoming.
Yeah, today is Bring a Friend to Good Mythical Morning. So welcome, friends. Is something falling? Is that Hawkman?
Hawkman is so upset about you not welcoming him.
Oh, goodness, I forgot to bring a friend. I'm going to take a nap now.
No, I think he's just upset with you. I think he knocked somebody else off. Batman.
It's in a fight?
Hold on.
He defeated Batman.
Hawkman beat up Batman. 2 inanimate superheroes just fought in our presence, and the one that is my favorite beat yours.
Okay.
Bring a friend.
And so I'm saying, welcome, friends, to Good Mythical Morning. Enter the discussion in the comments below of the age you think is appropriate for kids to be left alone. But let's see what Vicky has to say about it first.
Now, when we were at this gathering the other night, there were several parents talking. There was the mother of one of the women there, an older lady. She said, she was like, she thought that we were like what I thought you were saying, that we were considering leaving our kids at home alone. I'm not.
Right.
But she was like, they got to be at least 10. I think that's the law. And that's what caused me to look this up.
It's like, is it the law, though?
Turns out in the state of California, there is no age listed. It is unknown. There is no state law according to...
Does it actually say unknown?
Latchkeykids.com. It says unknown.
It does.
So I think if you don't know the kid's age, you can leave them home alone.
Right.
It's like, he looks 3, but I really don't know. So I think
He's so mature.
I'm within the legal limit here.
It's unknown.
I think that means that there is no known age. In fact, there are only 3 states that I can count on this list here that actually have stated laws at which you can leave your kid home alone.
Okay.
One of them is our home state. Link? You know what it is?
North Carolina.
No. Do you know what the
I know what
age
state I'm from.
is?
North Carolina.
Do you know what the age is?
I know what state I'm from.
Is?
I 9?
It is 8.
8?
And that
8 seems kind of young. I mean,
it is the lowest age listed on the entire list here.
I mean, my daughter Lily's 9. She's very mature. You know, girls mature faster than boys anyway, emotionally. So I could see her staying home alone, but I'm not going to do it yet because I'm not. And she's not going to stay. She's not going to take care of the younger kids. That, you know. But if it was just her, I might consider it in desperate situation.
Well, North Carolina is the lowest. So I mean, there you go. You can leave your 8-year-old kids at home alone in North Carolina, but you can also do that in Maryland. 8 years old. Actually, there's 2 more states that have listed ages. Illinois, 14. You got to be 14 to be home alone in Illinois, and you got to be 10 in Oregon.
What's the highest?
Well, okay, so there are lots of unknowns, and then there are several states that have guidelines. Now, this is not an official law, but it's like if you search their Family and Children's Services site or whatever, and they have a guideline. Like Georgia's guideline is 8. Well, Florida's guideline is 18.
18? Don't leave your kids home alone until they're old enough to go to war. War.
And listen, I believe that there is a very good reason for Florida's 18 limit, because every time there's a crazy story about somebody like taking a chicken to a bank or just doing weird stuff, it's always happening in Florida or Germany.
Because they're all overprotective there.
No, seriously, look up crazy things that happen in Florida and you will just see. I think the people in Florida were like, listen, we can't leave. You got to be an adult to be home alone because so much crazy stuff happens in our state.
I'm saying that may be the cause. Let us know if you were a latchkey kid, or if you are a latchkey kid, let us know. If you don't know what that means, that's the person who, like me, I was a latchkey kid. I would come home from school and I would get on the school bus in 3rd grade.
Yep.
And I would ride down I was on bus 51, and I would get off. It wouldn't even stop at my street. It would stop off on the street beside my street, like a road, the main Old Boys Creek Road. And then I would have to walk down Stewart Town Road, the road that I lived on at the time.
I think technically you were on a road also.
I was on a road.
There's not streets out of the
It didn't
country.
go down that road. And I had to walk, and I would go into my house. I had the key, and I would turn the latch, and I would go in. And then my mom just said, you know, just go in and just barricade yourself in there until I get home, i.e. lock the doors and the windows. And I would do that every single day. 3:30, I'd get home-ish about that time, and then she would get home-ish about 6-ish.
So you had 2.5 hours
Yeah,
to yourself.
Of just being there alone in third grade.
From 3rd grade until when? I mean, this lasted, pretty much.
Well, I mean, when you get a little bit older, you start getting involved in sports, and you have
activities.
reasons to hang around school and do other things, and then mom picks you up from that kind of scenario. Yeah. So it didn't last too long. It was actually, but I think I'm a better person for it. You know?
How so?
I exercised independence.
But what did you do? I mean,
I mainly just sat down on the couch and watched television. Actually, I exclusively sat down on the couch and watched television.
Yeah, and studies show that children who watch a lot of television every single day are better off in life.
And I would kind of get creeped out, like the house would creak, and I would get kind of nervous. I was a very anxious child, so it was a little bit traumatic. But no one ever, like, if the phone would ring, I wouldn't answer it.
Because you didn't want to prove that you were home alone?
Yeah. Does that sound logic?
Well, it sounds logical. But it doesn't sound logic.
I didn't want people to know I was there.
So you didn't ever take advantage of the freedom?
No. What do you mean? I could watch any channel that I could get.
No, but like you had a whole world. You had a whole house. You had multiple rooms. You had a backyard. You had
I think I was afraid to go back into my room because it was like in the far reaches of the house. What about you? I mean, were you?
You were afraid to go to your room.
I was an anxious child. I just sat. Yeah, I was like, I felt safest on the couch. You weren't a latchkey kid because your mom was there.
My mom was a homemaker, so she would pick us up from school and bring us home. So I was not really a latchkey kid, but I do recall when I was 17. I'm sure I was left at home alone before this point because it was North Carolina, not Florida. But at age of 17, while my brother was already off at college, my parents went away for the weekend. And they were like, we feel that you're old enough for us to leave you home alone by yourself. You seem to be responsible. And I was a relatively responsible kid.
Well, then I'll ask you the question. I mean, did you take advantage of the freedom that you had? I mean, you were insinuating that I just didn't go far enough.
Yeah, well, I did. Some kids might decide to like go Project X and like throw a huge party or something like that. I did not do that. I was way too scared of my dad and that he would find out anything. So I was like, well, it's got to be something that he won't find out about. It's got to be something that won't damage the house. So what I decided to do was I went and got some Cherry Skull smokeless tobacco.
like
in a
dip.
A dip. This is North Carolina. This may sound absolutely crazy to you, but this is like 1994 North Carolina. This is pretty commonplace.
Yeah.
So
cherry. Why not? You got like the baby skull.
No. Well, you may think that, but when you take half of the container and put it into your lip like this, and you just sit there and watch TV for
2 days.
No, here's what I did. I took a huge chunk of it, put it in there, and I just sat down and I like watched reruns of something for like an hour. And then I said, well.
And you were like, I'm here alone. This is it. I'm doing it.
This is independence. Just sitting here watching reruns with Cherry Skull in my lip. And then I made the mistake of trying to stand up. And when I stood up, I was like, in fact, I almost get sick thinking about it now. I got so sick. And I don't vomit very often. And I didn't vomit because I had this phobia of vomiting, but I should have vomited. And to this day, if I smell Cherry Skull, like if you happen to be using it, because we know you use it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
No. If I happen to be in North Carolina and smell Cherry Skull, I get sick in my stomach and I think about
So that's what you get for being a latchkey kid. Let us know in the comments how you would exercise your latchkey freedom.
And listen, we need more Mythical Wheel of Mythicality suggestions from you. Things that are quick, things that are fun.
Leave them on Twitter, leave them on Facebook. Okay. Rhett takes Link's seat.
I don't know how to say this, but I really need to sit where you're sitting exactly right now.
You want what? You want to take my seat? You can't have it.
But my chair is
my seat.
My chair is exactly like yours. In fact,
but it's not.
You know what I'm willing to do? I'm willing to just change chairs with you because technically, if I sit in that chair, I'll be taking your seat, but I'll still be on this side if you're uncomfortable about being on this side.
No, it's really more just about I've grown accustomed to this. I think there's probably divots where my pelvis bone really goes into this, and I'm fond of it.
Well, I'll give it back at some point. Seriously, just give me an opportunity here.
You're gonna have to take it by force if you want it. Good luck with that.